All right. This doesn't count toward my time limit, but I just want to point out, Marty wrote this message before asking Amy and I to come up. And we talked about both of these stories at prayer night on Monday. Don't ever say God doesn't get involved in your life, because he is always right there. I mean, it's an amazing coincidence. Okay, my clock is on now.
You have no shoes on. I just want to point that out.
Oh. I want it to be comfortable.
This is holy ground.
This is holy ground. Okay. No, that wasn't part of my time either.
Okay.
All right. This is time to get real. Many of you know, my name is Dan, by the way. My wife Linda and I, I'm going to get through this. My wife Linda, we foster. And we adopted our 9-year-old son, Elias, and never a question. But we have been going through a bit of a battle with each other as far as adopting Xavier. If you've seen Xavier and Emil, the 5 and the 3-year-olds running around, they are up for adoption. And we were coming towards the beginning of this month. Can you hear me okay? We were coming towards the beginning of this month, the court, after all these years with Emil. Xavier's already awarded the state, but the court was going to decide whether to release him for adoption. And so that was our opportunity. And I found myself over and over, and your point on control was really huge, very impatient. I'm not a grumpy man, but I was such a grumpy dad with these boys. And I was part of me was afraid of adopting, because how good will I be for these kids if I'm always getting mad at them? So that was always we were like, should we adopt, should we not adopt? Linda was pretty sold out on adopting, and I was always waffling. And it got to the point, as we were getting down to the 11th hour, we need to decide. And we have had conversations where we had gone back and forth, and we always stopped short of saying too much, as turning into an argument. But we got to a point the night before where we had a conversation, and it got really real. And don't think because, Linda and I don't think we present ourselves, we try to, as the perfect couple, but we have a lot of problems. We work it out. Not a lot. We don't have a lot. We have a lot of problems. We're all messed up. We're really married. No, we're really married. We're awesome together.
I also do funerals.
Huh? I also do funerals. I mean, so much. That was off script too. So the night before, we got into a major, and I was scared. I will admit it. I didn't know. I had heard from some people, no, maybe not. Other people, maybe you should. I prayed to God. I had wrestled with God a lot this year. Tell me what I'm supposed to do, because I had never had a question in my mind. This would be good for these little boys. They love us. They see us as mom and dad. This has been their home for half of their life, if not more. So I never had a question that it was a good choice for them. So obviously, and I know I've been wrestling, and when you had told me that line you were going to use, you wrestle with God, but God is kind of left out of it. We're wrestling with all this other stuff. I found myself that morning, because we had come to a conclusion, or basically we had walked away thinking two different things from that conversation. This is the real part. Linda walked away thinking that we were going to have trouble, major trouble in our marriage if we adopted those kids. I was walking away from that conversation thinking we were going to have some major trouble in our marriage if we didn't. And it just felt like I was backed into a corner, not by Linda, but by the situation. That morning I decided I need to run away, because I need to get away. I need to find out. So I got in the car that morning, called work and said, I'm really not feeling well, which wasn't a lie. I'm not calling in. And so I got in the car and I literally drove. And I didn't know where I was going. It's ironic that your thing was at the Berkshires. I was driving upstate New York. God turned me around and said, come back. But I got into a place in the Berkshires. On the way there, I'm praying and I'm praying and I'm praying. I did not tell Linda where I was going. I didn't leave a note. I left Marty a message saying, if when Linda calls you, and she will eventually, where's Danny? Tell her I ran away. I'm fine. Everything's okay. I didn't really say much. I just said I'm okay, so don't worry. She tried calling me a few times. I put the phone away. I didn't text. I didn't look at email. I didn't answer the phone. me and God. Basically, I'm like, God, it's me and you. We are going. I don't know where we're going. I'm not going home until we figure this out. I mean, basically, that's a prayer. And on the way there to this Seven Hills Inn at the Berkshires in Lenox, it's right around the corner from Tanglewood, where all these people that perform there. It's a very cool place, and I'm going to get to that in a second. One thing God told me that I felt uncertainly, and I know it was from God because I didn't like it. He said, you need to be willing to let go of Linda, let go of your family, everything for me. When I tell you something, you need to accept it. I need to be first before anything else. And so with that thought in my head, as I'm driving, I'm at the place. And I know I have two options. I could say yes and hope everything's okay. I could say no and hope everything's okay. I could keep driving and never come back and live in a trailer and talk about how I gave everything. You know, that wasn't an option. But everything was on the table. And so I prayed. I got to this place, I walked around, and I found myself, most of all, missing Linda. I was like, this is such a me and Linda place. There was pictures on the wall, there were of all these people. There was cool music playing. It was totally empty. It was beautiful. And a couple of times I wanted to text her, this place is really cool, but I didn't. I didn't. It's me and God. I literally, and I'm not saying this to toot any horn and to seem all super spiritual, but I got in that room, I literally laid on the floor, hands down, saying, I need to know what I'm supposed to do. No more mixed communications. And it was over and over again. And I will say, I was at peace the whole time. I mean, it was nice to get away, no doubt about it. But I was at peace. But I knew, and that was my prayer over and over, I'm not leaving until I know for sure. So come supper time, after a whole day of this, there's only one place open that I thought, in Lenox, and this is like this fancy place. I'm like, fine, I've charged everything else, I'm charging this, I'm gonna go out to dinner. And I wasn't hungry, I knew I needed to eat. I went out there, parked in this little side storefront thing, and there's a hole in the wall burrito pizza place that was right there in front of me. I'm going, this looks cool, I'm gonna come in here. Very hippie. This is Lenox, this is in the Western Mass. License plates on the wall. There's one server. She's all tatted and she's pierced, and it's a very young kid. The only other person is a chef that looks like Jason Momoa. And I'm sitting in there, and I ordered the vegan burrito. I'm going to be healthy about it. And I'm sitting there, and all I could think, and this was really the moment, is I thought, this is such a me and Linda place. You know? I wish Linda was here. I mean, to the point where the girl's walking by and she goes, how's your burrito? And I'm literally crying going, this is the best burrito I ever had in my life. She's still talking about the guy who really loved that burrito. But I was like, it all hit me. When we adopted Elias, there was never a question. The two of us can do anything. She is my best friend. We were brought together, no question. We had been through some interesting stuff in our past, but I never, ever thought we couldn't do anything. And that's such a good feeling with someone. And I think we had sort of lost that over time, not because of us, but because we had brought in foster kids, and each one after another has needs. And they're like, me, focus. You know, the person after another. And for anybody, it can really drain a relationship. And in any marriage, especially with kids, it is God first, then each other. No question. And that's where I hadn't gotten to yet. God had to be first. I had to accept whatever I learned this week, that day. Then me and Linda. And then anything else, friends, family, the kids, it's all gravy, as long as we are together. And so, I went home, there was more praise near the end, but again, I prayed, I watched some religious things, looking for Pat Robinson or whoever they were, giving me some other sign, but I'd already gotten whacked upside the head in that moment. And it was clear to me, I was never anxious about, I was anxious about parenting these boys again, but it wasn't for the reasons I thought. It wasn't because I'm too grumpy. People have told me, you're not a grumpy guy. Grumpy guy, Dan, but you are with them. It wasn't that. It was that we needed to find each other again and remember, because since that, it's been a month. I used to yell at the kids 2-3 times a day sometimes, it felt like. I'd be lucky if I've done it 3 times in a month. Because I just got away, found God, and said, you need to show me. And he showed me what it was. Then it was no question in my mind, we can be awesome parents for these kids. And I have no more fear because I got away and I actually wrestled with God, the real God this time. And I can go on and on about other stuff, but I won't because I'm out of time.
All right. Thank you, Dan.